All right. Welcome in, everyone, to another deep dive with us.
Excited to be here.
I think this one is going to be particularly powerful. I think this is going to resonate with a lot of folks. And today we're diving into a source that I know is personally meaningful to a lot of people out there.
Definitely.
An excerpt from Surah Adh-Duha, a chapter from the Quran.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even if Islamic texts aren't something you're super familiar with, stick with us here.
Please do.
Because the wisdom that we find in this passage, it speaks to the human experience, I think, in a really, really profound way.
I completely agree.
And it's interesting because just to kind of set the stage a little bit, imagine for a second a world before we had clocks, right?
Okay.
A world where the only way to tell time was by the rising of the sun and the settling of the night. And that is how this particular surah begins.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it starts with that natural imagery, the morning light, the coming of night. It grounds the verses in something that we can all kind of connect with.
It makes it so relatable, right? It's not this abstract, far-off thing.
Yeah.
You know, it connects it to our world, our everyday experience. And then you get this line,
Right.
You know, your Lord did not abandon you, nor did he forget.
Oh!
I mean, just let that sink in for a moment.
It's powerful.
Especially if you were in a time of difficulty in your life, to remember that phrase. I mean, that can be such a powerful anchor.
It is, and it serves as a reminder that even when we might feel alone or forgotten, we're not. And then it connects beautifully with this next point where the surah compares the hereafter, meaning the afterlife in Islamic belief, to the first, which refers to our current life.
Right, this life.
And this comparison, it really encourages a long-term perspective. It's not saying that our current struggles don't matter,
Right.
but it's helping us understand their place in the larger context of things.
It's like suddenly you're able to zoom out, right?
Yeah.
And see your life on this much, much larger timeline.
Absolutely. And then the surah takes this interesting turn where it shifts gears and tells a story.
Okay.
It talks about someone who was orphaned, wandering, in need, and then finding shelter and guidance and ultimately enrichment.
That's such a universal story, right?
Right.
It's not limited to any one faith or culture.
It's true, and it speaks to that human experience of overcoming challenges, finding that support system, discovering a sense of purpose.
And it's interesting because it goes beyond just personal growth, right?
Yeah.
There's this element of responsibility to others.
Absolutely.
What do you think that says about the relationship between personal faith and like social responsibility?
I think it highlights our interconnectedness. It suggests that when you've experienced hardship and then found support, you're then called to offer that same support to others.
Like a ripple effect, right?
Exactly, like paying it forward.
The kindness, the compassion flowing outwards. And it's interesting because then it gets even more explicit.
Right.
With these very clear instructions, therefore do not mistreat the orphan,
Right.
nor rebuff the seeker. I mean, wow, that's a direct call to action.
It is, and it's a call to care for the vulnerable.
And it's interesting how it starts by offering personal comfort, right? It's long-term perspective. But then it immediately pivots, and it challenges us to look beyond ourselves and take responsibility for others.
Yeah, almost like this reciprocal relationship.
Like you said, paying it forward.
Precisely. And then finally, we reach this really intriguing line, but proclaim the blessings of your Lord. Now, this could be interpreted in so many ways.
So many ways.
It's like expressing gratitude, sharing good fortune.
Even spreading a message of hope.
Right. And I think it's interesting because on one level, it's very personal, right?
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging and appreciating all the good things in our lives. But wouldn't it be easy to just start there?
Yeah, to just focus on the internal part of it.
Exactly. And ignore that outward call to action.
It's true. And if we go back to that idea of interconnectedness that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
It seems like proclaiming blessings might also involve extending that gratitude outwards, right?
Absolutely. And that could mean advocating for those who need it, using our own resources and privileges to help others, or just being a source of positivity and encouragement in the world.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that our personal well-being is tied to the well-being of others.
So much to unpack there in just those few lines.
It's really remarkable how much wisdom and depth can be packed into such a short passage.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today.
Sad to see it end.
I know. I always feel like we could keep going, but we'll have to save that for another time.
For sure.
But as always, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of Surah Adh-Dhuha.
It was a pleasure.
And before we go, I just want to leave you with this one final thought.
Please do.
How do you interpret this call to proclaim blessings?
It's a good question.
Is it something you do, an action you take? Or is it an internal shift, a change in mindset? Or maybe, as we've been talking about today, it's a little bit of both.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's something worth reflecting on.
I think so too.
So, until next time, thanks again for joining us.
Take care, everyone.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.
Bye.
Bye.